This will be your RA, this will be your RV. Here will be a tricuspid annulus. Okay? Now actually there, this is a little bit tilted. If you look at, keep your cursor there and put an M mode, you will get the movement because the RV will be contracting like this. So you will get a curve like this. So measure from the end of the curve to the top of the curve, you will get the TAPC. Because here, because what happens is M mode is always angle dependent. So you have to get the perfect angle. Also in fact, a lot of people, this is an ideal this thing, what I am telling you is, see, a lot of people what they do is, you take this 4-chamber, from the lateral annulus down to the apex, they take in systole and diastole, measure the difference. But the problem is in a 4-chamber view, you will not be able to identify the apex of the RV, because the apex is always found by the LV. Unless you have a dilated RV, it is difficult to measure. So TAPC becomes unreliable. You might underestimate most of the time. In fact, it may be much higher, TAPC. So TAPC is preferred always in the deep transgastric.
Sir, can I see TAPC from by M mode from 4-chamber? That same from
Movement like this?
Yes, sir.
It may not be very accurate.
Okay. Sir, can you show that Simpson method of ejection fraction calculation?
Here,
Yeah,
to identify the thing, measurement, that is not there in the simulation. If I had an echo machine, I would have definitely shown you.
Thank you, sir.
That is, that is basically the volume estimation, what you do that. Volume estimations, you trace out the endocardial. See, there what happens is, your this thing is identifying the endocardial borders. That is the most important thing. I'll tell you, we had one lady from New York University Hospital. She was a senior consultant cardiologist who was there in the system for about 40 years. I had asked her, so, are you able to define this thing? She said, she still now is unable to identify the endocardial borders, and she said her technician who does about 200 echoes in a day, she defines endocardial border accurately, and in fact she said that her endocardial border definition is equal to the contrast imaging which is done, almost accurate to that level. So there probably by practice it comes here. So arbitrarily we may be able to define, but we don't know actually whether this, you may be underestimating or overestimating. But the basic mechanism would remain the same, that you define it in end systole and end diastole, and of course you know the formula, that automatically calculates. Only thing is definite, and you need a good 2D image for that, basically. You need to have a very good, because a lot of echo dropouts may be there. Sometimes what happens is there may be calcium on the endocardial wall, on the mitral leaflets or something, echo dropouts, all those things, you may not be able to define the endocardial borders very clearly. And especially on the RV side, what happens is, the RV apex is not made out at all. So you will be underestimating the volume there. So that is another biggest disadvantage we are having.
LA appendage view, sir.
Yeah, no, LA appendage is very, see, what I would suggest is, you go to the, say the 2-chamber view, okay? See here, this is your LA appendage, no? 2-chamber view, turn it to the left. The appendage opens up. No, that you can do it in the short axis view. See in this, actually what happens is, in this when you open it up, see there, actually when you turn to the right, no? In the aortic valve short axis, you will get the LA appendage there.
Yes, sir, I am asking about that.
Yeah, you can get it in at 40 degrees or something. See when you do the short axis, no? Just beside the left main, can you make out the left main there? Yeah, that is the left main, and there, just above that will be the LA appendage, you can in the short axis view. Just by manipulating the angle by about 5 to 10 degrees, you can get the LA appendage. That is one of the important views wherein, pardon me? Rotate it to the right,
Right.
Rotate the probe to the right. And there, the beam, this thing will be accurately present there. In fact, in the 2-chamber view, mid-esophageal 2-chamber view, beam alignment may not be there. See, why I am telling this is LA appendage, you need to assess the LA appendage velocity many times.
Yes, sir, atrial fibrillation.
Yes, atrial fibrillation, all those things. Velocity, that is the most important. Unless you get a good beam, the systolic velocity, because there are 4 waveforms for the LA appendage velocity. One is the passive filling in the systolic wave, and then 2 shorter waveforms in the diastole. So what you need, the systolic peak has to be seen accurately. That has to be more than 50 centimeters per second basically. So that happens, suppose you have a mild MS or something like that. And if you want to know, you have to, I would say, what I would say is, you assess the LA appendage velocity in almost all the patients. Because if the LA appendage velocity, if you have taken it accurately and if it is less than 20 centimeters per second, chances of patient developing a clot or embolic event is very, very high. So it has been recommended that you can request the surgeon to tie off the LA appendage.
Sir, 20.
Yeah, 20 centimeters per second with the velocity. Normally it is about 50 centimeters per second. Lower the velocity, that means there is a lot of stasis will be there. That is the thing.
So you are talking for two chamber. From two chamber, I can't.
You can.
Align. Can
You
align,
can, yeah,
sir?
yeah, of course. You just rotate the image to the left, it comes in the center, and exactly you can align the ultrasound beam.